The platypus. The first friend we'll visit tonight is a creature that seems to have walked straight out of a myth, the platypus. I often imagine that in some cosmic workshop, a creator decided not to follow any blueprint. They took a bit from a nun, otter a bit from a duck, added the tail of a beaver, and then Bulioa, a one-of-a-kind creature, was born. This wasn't a failed assembly. I think it was a declaration of creative freedom, born when God raided the spare parts bin for leftover. Animal bits. The thing that stunned scientists for so long is that the platypus is a mammal. That lays eggs. Let that sink in for a moment. It's a biological paradox wrapped in waterproof fur. It doesn't just give birth. It challenges every definition we've ever known. And the story doesn't end there. The mother platypus doesn't have nipples. That seems a bit illogical, doesn't it? Instead, milk oozes out of pores on her belly. The babies just nuzzle up and lap it from her fur. The image is so gentle, like a sponge that lactates with motherly love. Oh, and one more little secret. The male has a venomous spur on its hind ankles. Why? Perhaps it's a reminder that despite looking like a whimsical combination, he is fully equipped to defend himself. The platypus isn't just an animal, it's an argument. It's a lovely text message the universe sent us late one night, saying, hey, look what I made. Isn't it fun? Next, let's meet a creature that found the fountain of youth and decided to stay there forever. Welcome the axolotl. This is the true Peter Pan of the animal world. A creature that looked at adulthood and gently said, no, thank you. The charm in its laziness is almost poetic. It lives its entire life in a state of arrested development, a perpetual aquatic teenager that simply refuses to grow up. With its delicate, feather-like gills fluttering on either side of its head, it stares into the void with wide, innocent eyes. The miracle is that, in its DNA, the axolotl has the complete blueprint to metamorphose into a land-dwelling salamander. To conquer the land, but does it? Not at all. It chooses to stay in its cozy aquatic bed, much like we hit the snooze button on a Sunday morning, and here is the most amazing part, regeneration. If it happens to lose a leg, a part of its spine, or even parts of its brain, it can regrow them perfectly. A master of survival, a god of reconstruction. And what is all this incredible power for? To forever remain a gilled, slimy adolescent? The axolotl teaches us a beautiful lesson. Sometimes happiness isn't about moving forward, but about cherishing the peace right where you belong. Now, let's dive into the dark abyss of the ocean where sunlight is but a distant memory. There, we find nature's strangest and perhaps most gothic love story. The story of the anglerfish. The queen of this darkness is the female anglerfish, a creature that looks terrifying with its monstrous mouth and a glowing fishing rod that dangles a luminous lure from its head. That light shines like a lone beacon, a beacon of false hope in the eternal darkness to attract prey. But the real tragedy, or rather the most incredible sacrifice, lies with the male. He is tiny, pathetic, an afterthought. His sole purpose in life is to find her, and when he finds her, he doesn't court her or woo her. He performs a final act of devotion. He bites into her flesh and begins the process of dissolving into her. The male's eyes, fins, and internal organs wither away until he is nothing but a parasitic pair of testes fused to her body, ready to provide sperm on demand. This isn't a partnership. It's a hostile takeover. It is the most extreme form of codependency imaginable. Nature didn't just design a fish. It wrote a cautionary tale in flesh and bioluminescence about a love reduced to parasitic castration. A sad love song, in the style of The Cure, echoing from the deep sea. Now let's return to dry land and meet an expert in the minimalist lifestyle. Are you kidding me with this thing? The koala. When we see it, our first reaction is, "Aw, so cute." But don't let that appearance fool you. We are looking at an animal so profoundly stupid, it's a miracle. It hasn't accidentally gone extinct. The koala's brain is special. It's smooth or lissencephalic. What does that mean? It has almost no folds, giving it the cognitive power of a wet paper bag. Its brain is so small that it can rattle around inside its own skull. But this isn't a flaw. It's a perfect evolution. A complex brain consumes a lot of energy, and the koala has no energy to waste. Its main food source, eucalyptus leaves, is poisonous, barely nutritious, and so hard to digest that the koala has to sleep for up to 22 hours a day just to process. Its miserable meal is practically a furry walking coma. And here is a rather picky fact. If you were to pluck those leaves from a branch, place them on a plate, and offer them to a koala, it might starve to death because its primitive brain cannot recognize them as food. Oh, and like many wild animals, the koala also faces health challenges as this marvel of ineptitude is riddled with chlamydia. This serves as a reminder that behind that adorable appearance is a fragile existence, one that desperately needs our care and protection. This isn't an animal. This is a divine practical joke wrapped in a cute package just to see if we're dumb enough to try and save it. And now for an architect with a very square aesthetic. Introducing the wombat. Sometimes, in the chaotic workshop of creation, you stumble upon something that isn't a mistake or an act of malice, but an act of pure, unadulterated absurdity. The wombat looks quite normal, a stocky, burrowing marsupial, until you learn about its digestive output. This animal poops cubes, not round pellets, not logs. Perfect, six-sided, stackable cubes. This is not an accident. This is a deliberate, biomechanical engineering decision. The final section of its intestine has variable elasticity. Some walls are stretchy, some are rigid, which molds its feces into bricks. Why so complicated? To mark its territory. It stacks its little poop cubes on rocks and logs so they don't roll away. Someone somewhere on the Celestial Design Committee rejected the simple spray of a dog or the pellets of a rabbit and instead poured immense resources into developing a creature that could produce biological building blocks. It's one of the most exquisitely over-engineered and pointless features in the animal kingdom. It's not just biology, it's avant-garde art. It's the creator, drunk on whatever passes for ambrosia, laughing hysterically and saying, "You know what would be really funny? This is what's really funny." The last friend on our journey tonight is a creature that challenges the very definition of life and death. A tiny biological alchemist from the ocean, Tortopsis dohrnii, also known as the immortal jellyfish. There is a fundamental contract to existence, a single non-negotiable clause written in the DNA of every living thing. You are born, you live, and you die. It is the one rule that binds the microbe to the star, the king to the worm, and then there's this thing. This gelatinous little anarchist. When the Tortopsis dohrnii gets old or sick or simply bored of its current form, it doesn't have the decency to just die. No, it performs an act of biological defiance. It reverts. It collapses in on itself, transforming back into its juvenile polyp stage, and starts its life completely over. It doesn't have a life cycle, it has a life loop. This isn't an animal. It's a bug in the code of reality. A creature that found an exploit, a cheat code left behind by a distracted programmer. God wasn't drunk when he made this one. He was sloppy. He wrote an infinite loop and forgot to add a break command. This jellyfish isn't just alive. It is a quiet, shimmering rebellion against the very concept of an ending. Our journey tonight comes to an end here. I hope these little stories will be like twinkling stars, illuminating your dreams. Let your mind relax. Let the images of these wonderful creatures lull you into a deep and peaceful sleep. Who knows? Maybe in your dreams tonight, you too will become an artist and create extraordinary creatures of your own. Good night and have sweet dreams. I'll see you again. Goodbye.